Your head feels too noisy and you need to trade in for some actual conversation. Your therapist did say that it was important to reach out to your support network, so you might as well give it a shot. Who do you call? Either our mom, which I don't want to do right now. We could call Malcolm, which I feel like would understand, or Alex. I think I'm gonna prefer Alex, because I think we should have some girlfriend time sometimes. So who knows? You dial Alex, who picks up after only 2 rings. You ask if she has time to talk, and she tells you she's just hanging around in her PJs, and is actually somewhat bored for once due to being caught up on her coursework. You try to figure out where to start with how you're feeling, and are overcome with missing her face. You ask if she feels like grabbing some dinner, and you notice her barely contained surprise and delight on the other end of the line. You meet about half an hour later at an inexpensive diner not far from your apartment. While the food is not great, you're surprised by how much your mood seems to have elevated just being in her company. While at first you were extremely hesitant to talk about your job situation for fear of being burdensome or sounding like a whiner, you see her listening intently to you with what even to you seems to be genuine concern. After winding down with a beer, you cautiously open up a little bit more about your feelings surrounding your jobs and how drained it leaves you feeling. How you feel like you're simply existing, selling days of your life for no real purpose. You surprise even yourself when you start talking about how frustrated and stymied you feel by your job, about how you used to feel passionately about things but feel like all your energy and capacity for creativity is getting leached out of you each and every workday. You can't remember how long it's been since you've externalized this much raw emotion. The two of you spent several hours in that diner booth, long after your half-eaten food was cleared and the waitress stopped refilling your coffee cups. As you get up to leave, a sudden wave of self-consciousness washes over you, and you suddenly feel incredibly awkward. Then Alex stands up and grabs you tightly around your waist. You realize that short of boring her with your seemingly endless rants, she's simply happy to have gotten a chance to spend time, real time with you. It's been by all accounts incredibly too long since you've allowed yourself to open up to them like this, and there's an almost palpable feeling of closeness you allow yourself to hold on to as you go to bed that night. Yeah, that's the thing. It just talking and sharing makes you get really close to people. That's definitely something I had to learn too. I'm still kind of learning. It's an utterly nondescript Wednesday afternoon, the type of afternoon that will completely fade from memory unless one made an active effort to preserve it. As has become routine on Wednesdays, you are sitting on a couch in Dr. Melville's office. To your mild surprise, she begins the session with breaking her characteristic therapist silence and begins speaking up right away. I wanted to start by saying I think it's great that you decided to come see me. It's an incredibly important first step, she begins. I wanted to take some time today to talk to you about the possibility of supplementing or substituting your treatment with medication. The mention of medication makes your ears perk up and you feel your heart rate increasing, she continues. Many people find adding a pharmacological element to their treatment to be very helpful, and some even prefer to take drugs, completely eliminating their need to visit a therapist at all, providing you rely on your support network and are still reaching out to people. I would prefer it if we kept talking should you choose to start medication, so that I can monitor your progress and adjust as needed, but the choice is ultimately yours. I just wanted to run the option by you to gauge what your thoughts on the matter might be. Dr. Melville has just given you a lot to think about. What do you do? There's no stroke through thingy for once here. And actually, even if you do take meds, you should still go to the therapist. It should be monitored. I've been on meds for a year now, actually. And I feel I need to, the next time I go in December, I need to change my meds, so yeah, it's good to have somebody to check up the whole time. I've had checkups every 3 months too, so. I was first very scared about medication personally because it has a lot of side effects. But you start thinking about, oh God, what if I die from the side effects? But it's like you're already dead. You have depression. You're already dead. So what's the worst that could happen? So I am going to do therapy and prescriptions. You think the matter over long and hard. It's strange to think that recently none of this sort of thing was even on your radar. And here you are now being asked to make a decision about it. You're both skeptical and nervous, still getting over the initial shock of even just talking to a therapist. Still, over the years you've done enough entry-level reading on the subject to know that if it doesn't help, at least it probably won't hurt, right? After an intense and protracted period of internal vacillation, you decide to bite the bullet and go for it. You tell Dr. Melville that you'd like to try medication in addition to your therapy, and you spend about half an hour going over what you'll be taking and what you should expect from it. Thinking back on the decision later, you're pretty sure you had your fists tightly clenched the whole way through. So we're seeing a therapist, and you have started taking medication. You are hoping that it will work, but you aren't optimistic and are worried about the side effects. A few words to medication. It's gonna usually takes a few weeks, sometimes months to work. It can even worsen the depression at first, but that's exactly why I want to be in contact with a doctor who can check up and you can talk to, and who can help you fix the side effects, or who can maybe give you a different prescription, because there's so many antidepressants with different mixes and people react all different to it. So yeah, but you just need to keep taking it. You just don't stop it unless your therapist tells you so, and don't take more than what they told you either. So it's a Wednesday evening, and you're visiting at your parents' house for a holiday. It's one of the handful of times during the year you drive out to visit your old hometown, and you've seen random people you had gone to school with around town. Whenever bumping into them, the usual short version of what you've done since graduating are exchanged. What? Yeah. You've done through a few of these days and have been very aware of how much you feel you haven't accomplished. When you were in high school, you had much larger plans, and you feel like you failed to manifest most of them. Even if you had managed to, you've largely lost interest in what you thought you wanted to do growing up. Now you're not really sure what you want to do, and you felt like you're lacking the ambition or drive to figure it out. Everyone you've caught up with seems so much happier than you, like they've got their lives all figured out, and you've kind of been feeling like a failure by comparison. Your brother Malcolm arrives with his wife in tow shortly before you all sit down to dinner. He's been traveling for his job lately, and you haven't seen him since the day he picked you up from the dentist. Your parents haven't seen him since before then. During dinner, they all catch up, and Malcolm talks about the amazing things he's done on the road. Your mother turns to you and asks you what you've been up to since you've seen her last. Oh, same old, you say. Nothing really new going on. Your mother makes a face. Oh, nothing new? How long are you planning on staying at that job of yours? What do you say? So either you tell them what they want to hear, that we're looking for something, you excuse yourself to the bathroom, or you just admit that you don't know what you want to do. I've kind of avoided questions from my dad for the most part, because I just didn't feel like I could explain it to him in any good way. And I didn't want to worry him on top of what he had to deal with already. But honestly, it's just best and quote-unquote easiest to just tell them up front. I mean, they're your parents. They care. Unless you have asshole parents, but if you have parents like this, then might as well. Actually, you start sheepishly. I'm not really sure what I want to do right now. Your mom puts down her fork. So what? You're planning on living the way you do for the rest of your life? How would you afford a house and on that paycheck? What about kids? Your father interrupts, lightly placing his hand over your mother's. It's okay, Linda. Let the kid be what they are. There's nothing wrong with not knowing what you want to do in your 20s. I didn't get into construction until I was nearly 40. Your mother looks across the table at you, unsatisfied with her husband's reasoning. I don't think it's normal for someone at that age to not have a path. You need to think hard about it or you'll never make anything of yourself. Mom, come on, Malcolm interjects. This emotionally exhausts you. You want to tell her that you're thinking hard and that not knowing what you're doing with yourself bothers you more than it could ever bother her. That sometimes it feels like you're lost in the woods and that if you were to drop dead in your apartment, the world wouldn't notice. You want to make her understand that more often than not, you feel like an alien, like there isn't anywhere in this world that feels like a place where you belong, and you have no idea how to fix it or what to do. You wish you could find the words to see, so she would understand what being looked down on for just kills you, and drives home the feeling of being a total outsider. Instead, you get very quiet for the rest of the meal while your mind goes numb. Everything inside you feels exhausted. That is definitely a thing. The mom is not helping at all. You're already pressured enough. You're already punishing yourself way enough, or there's way too much. So external pressure and stuff it just makes it all worse. What you need is people to just either leave you be with it, like, you know. Or maybe they can help you even. Like, they can suggest some things like, oh, I noticed you're good at this. How about that? Maybe, you know. But what the mom is doing is very, very bad. So. It's a rainy night. You're hurrying through the rain to Alex's apartment at her behest. Though your pace is quick, the rain is steadily soaking up your pant legs as you traverse the town. And it's darkening your already poor mood. The call came while you were at home after a day of dealing with abnormally frustrating people. You'd spent the afternoon trying to unwind and get some work on your project done. Alex called and interrupted one of your try to make progress, get frustrated at not making progress, have a harder time making progress due to frustrations, repeat loops. And you haven't fully shaken off the feeling of being annoyed with yourself from it yet. You knock on her door, and on the third knock, hear her voice call from further in the apartment to come in. As you cross the threshold, dripping rainwater all the way, you notice that the lights are turned down very low in the apartment. You squint to navigate it as you clutch onto your damp umbrella, but end up hitting your shin on a side table, mumbling a profanity under your breath. You barely make out Alex emerging from the hallway, clad in what looks to be a robe with the bare skin of her legs peering out underneath. Why don't you come in and warm up? She asks in her designated, slightly cheesy, sexy voice. After a beat of silence, she states more naturally, my roommates are out of town this weekend, so I thought it might be nice to have a little fun while they're away. You appreciate her affection, but you're too wrapped up in your own negative feedback loops to be in the mood right now. What do you do?